I hope you're having a great day, and today on this process video I will be doing a 2-page layout. I'm getting an idea of where I'm going to start from the Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 book, and it's pattern 9, and I am doing this along with a bunch of other crafty friends, and so down in the description below you will find some links to their videos. So this is definitely a frame style layout, and one of the layers of the frame is basically a paper or two different papers cut at a diagonal to make two large triangles. And so that's the paper I'm going to select first, and then I can figure out the rest of the borders after that. And so this is the Take to the Sky collection from Stampin' Up, and I love this plain paper. It's really cute, and I want to use this side because I just really prefer this side over the other side. So I'm going to take that, and after looking at it for a while, I decide that I would like to bring in just a navy cardstock. And so if you're using Close to My Heart cardstock, I would probably suggest Sapphire. And if you have Stampin' Up cardstock, I would use Night of Navy. That's the color that goes with this collection. So with 12 by 12 paper, when cutting on the diagonal, there is actually not room in most paper cutters to do that. And so what I did is I cut down a piece of spare paper that I had, and I cut it down to the dimensions in the book, and then I just simply folded it in half, and that's what I'm going to use for my straight edge to make the line or make it straight when I cut it. And so I need to cut down my blue paper to the dimensions that are in the book, and then I will, like I said, use that. So here it is all finished, and I have two of them. And so if I was just doing a one-page spread, I would just use, of course, one of them, but I'm going to go ahead and stretch this pattern, and so I'm going to put them on the far sides and then bring in some navy cardstock and using the darker side of it. So this layer will look something like this. Now I need to decide what I want behind this paper. And so I'm going to bring in 3 different colors. Here I have charcoal and mink and then mist. And so I'm going to try them all out, and there's 2 sides to each paper. And so I'm going to go ahead and try the one and then flip it. This one works okay, but then when I flip it to the other side, it is definitely too bland in my opinion. So I'm thinking maybe that light one, but then I'm going to try charcoal. Here I start with the dark side. I really like the contrast of the lighter blue with the dark, but I decided to go ahead and flip it around, and I think the navy works better with the lighter side. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that. I just think navy and gray are so stunning together, and definitely for me it kind of reminds me of like the Air Force, and that definitely like screams planes, so it works really well for this layout. This last one is the mist, and I have been actually using the lighter side of mist for other pages I've done with this collection, and it works really well. Stampin' Up's cardstock is going to be boho blue, but I decided overall that I do like the charcoal, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring another piece of that in. So my next layer, like I said, there are a lot of layers on this layout. There's actually 2 more squares before you get to the pictures. And so I looked at that and cut it out, and I decided that I wanted more of the plain paper to show. And so this is the bigger one, and then that would like nestle in there. Of course, you'd use a different color. But you can see that with the bigger background, I lose most of my plain paper, and that really is kind of a piece that I want to be shown on this layout. And so I'm going to take that layer out completely. I am going to go ahead and ink around this layer, so it almost gives it the appearance of having another layer, but not quite. So with that, I am ready to go ahead, and I'm going to gut some of this paper. And for some reason, just because it's a triangle instead of a square, this was like a little more nerve-wracking for me. I gut my square paper all the time, but I'm like, I was like, how's this going to work exactly? But I figured it out, and that's all the paper I saved. A whole triangle I can use on another project. So I'm going to show you really quickly how I did that. I just put my paper in at my 1.5 inches is where I decided that I needed to be. And then I move my little slicer up to the 1.5 inches there, and then I can go all the way down on this one. Then I'm going to flip my paper over and do the other side. So there again, lining up at the 1.5 inches, put my little slicer at the 1.5 inches there, and then slice all the way down. There's a triangle that I can use again for another project, and that's what I'm left with. And I just can slip right under there and nobody will ever know. And then I won't have the bulk either, so that's great. So I gutted the navy blue, and then I even took a little bit off of the gray. If you wanted to live on the edge, you could even cut out more, but I just felt like there should be some stability back there, so I only took a 6-inch square out of there. But like I said, you could actually take out quite a bit more. So I am ready to bring in some photo mats, and I'm going to use the charcoal and bring that into the middle of the layout. And so this is the way that the layout in the book was. It has the 3 pictures kind of ski-wampus there, and then it actually has a bunch of 2x2 pictures, but I am opting to do just the 3x4, so I would have like a title space there. And I actually, though, after looking at my pictures, decided, you know what, I actually don't really have very many vertical pictures. I have more horizontal pictures, and so I decided to just go ahead and flip the whole sketch. And it was actually pretty easy to do, as you just saw. I just kind of did a twist. I do end up turning the smaller, or the 3x4 that's by itself. And you can see I turned that one vertical. I think actually a 4x4 picture would look really nice there as well. And then on the other side, I did the same thing, but instead of a 3x4, I used a 4x6. So these pictures are from the Museum of Flight in Seattle, and we were there on a family vacation, and I'm using them to tell the story of my oldest son and just how excited he was about everything. And he was just in a really fun stage. He loved, you know, all the controls, and that top picture, actually they have like a mock control tower, and it was really fun. But then it looks out onto an actual like airstrip, and so planes actually land there, and then we actually saw like a helicopter take off, and it was just kind of a really fun day. The museum's actually really large. It actually goes across the street. There's a whole other section across the street, and so we just had a great time. And so now I'm going to work on the title, and I'm actually using the name of the collection as my title. So they did the hard work for me coming up with the title, Take to the Sky. And so I used my Cricut just to cut these out, and here's what I'm going to be using for most of my embellishments. That's called Adventurous Sky, and it's part of the Take to the Sky collection as well. I'm also using these nested essential dies, and I just thought that the bottom shape, it looked kind of like a old-fashioned like airplane or airline logo. But of course, as you saw there just really wasn't room. This layout already is very photo heavy, and so I wanted to be a little more careful about like what I was using as my embellishments, because it is already very crowded. So I'm going to bring some clouds in instead. Here's a plane that I have. It's actually just the dies. Do you ever use dies to kind of do placement, like before I stamp stuff? Or sometimes I'll put the stamps or the dies on just to kind of see what it's going to look like. So this is one of the nested dies as well. It's a little banner, and so that I put there. And then I'm bringing some planes in. There again, because of the crowded nature of this layout, I did stick to a smaller one over there, and I end up moving things 50 times before this is all over, and so you're going to see lots of changes, but this is what I'm kind of planning right here, and just using the dies. So these clouds are really cute. You could use the die just to make cloud shapes, but there is a stamp actually as well that gives them a lot of fun character. And I've actually done both. I've used them both ways on different pages. And so in my little container where I just kind of put leftover stuff, I actually found this compass. It is from the Close to My Heart Let's Go Anywhere collection, which would work really well with this. And so it's kind of fun that I could bring a few elements in there. So what I'm doing, this is where I totally overthink things, but I wanted to do a wash behind my title, Take to the Sky. And so I did sapphire first, and I was like, yeah, that's just too dark. I don't want it that dark. And so then I got all my other blues out, and actually gray as well. And I don't actually have all the blues, even in close to my heart colors. And I definitely don't have all of them in Stampin' Up yet. And so I did this little paper where I was like, let me test them all out. And so I decided that periwinkle actually was the color that I wanted to use. It has a lot of the same tones in it as the sapphire, but it's not quite as dark. And so I decided that that's the color I want to use for my wash. I'm still getting used to this. This is kind of like a newer technique for me. But I'm going to start in the middle and radiate out. And I go ahead and ink up my little brush, and then I tap off on that little scratch paper right there that you can see. Periwinkle is a lighter color, and so it does go on very light at the beginning, but you just kind of keep going, and eventually you'll end up with a good color and good coverage. And just some tips to remember when you do this: ink usually dries lighter, and so you probably want to go a little bit, darker than you think. Next, I bring in my shimmer brush. I don't really actually love the way these end up looking, but and I got some big splotches instead of just little ones, but most of those I'm able to strategically cover up. And so what I'm doing now is I'm taking those Cricut letters, and I saw somebody do this on YouTube. I wish I could remember who, but they took the negative space from the Cricut cutout and used it to help place the letters, and I thought it was genius. So that's what I tried to do. Here you can actually see the wash a little bit. I really do actually like the way it looks. Picks it up just slightly here on the camera, but in person it's even a little darker. So here I'm just putting the clouds around. I probably should have added another one right where I'm pointing there. But I decided to do my plane in a different color, and just getting these all taped down. Originally, I thought that I would put my journaling on the little banner over on the right page, but I soon discovered I probably had too much to say, and so this is where I decide I'm going to go ahead and do a flip flap. So I'll put the picture in the front, so that's what you see, and then you can flip it, and I'll have plenty of space to write the story of the day. And so here is this is actually what is made from the die that is a standalone die. So there's not a stamp that, coordinates with it. But I put it there, and I sometimes struggle, like sometimes I'm a little too matchy. And that's kind of what's going on here. And I just decide ultimately that I don't actually like this one with the stamped images. It's like one or the other style, right? Like pick your style and go. So I end up taking that off. But here I'm showing you the banner. I there again pulled out the Let's Go Anywhere collection from Close to My Heart, and that's actually where I got the little route marks with the little planes that I stamped on that banner. And I think another issue down here is that there's not enough color variation, just because I didn't have a lot of different colors. So I decided to bring in some pops of color with the planes. They really do pop, and I decided to actually make them pop even more by using some dimensionals. While I get everything taped down, I thought I'd take this opportunity to invite you to leave a comment, or if you haven't subscribed, I'd love for you to be a part of this crafty community. And if you are enjoying this video, I would love a thumbs up, and that really helps me out here on YouTube. And so what I'm doing here is I'm getting that banner in place, and then I have to glue the clouds down and put the other plane up on dimensionals. In case you're wondering what dimensionals are, that's what Stampin' Up calls their foam dots. I also thought I would mention that the Make It From Your Heart idea book is actually in the clearance section on the Close to My Heart website. Although I'm not a maker, I did notice that the other day, and so check that out if you want that for a good deal. You can also find a shopping link to Stampin' Up with a host code that will let you shop with me as your demonstrator. if you're interested in buying any of the Take It to the Sky or any of the other materials. Just as a reminder, don't forget to check out the link below that will take you to a playlist of all of the people that are doing the collaboration with the Make It From Your Heart Volume 6. It's been a lot of fun to do these most months. I missed a few months, but I'm back at it. So thanks for joining me today. I feel like I always do like a final pat when I'm like finished with the page. Like, there it is, we're done. So I just wanted to point out here that there is a diagonal path on this page that kind of guides your eye down. Here are some close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video and would love for you to check out these videos here on the screen. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.